Well, hello and good evening, everybody, on tonight's call. My name is Claudia Eifert, and I welcome everybody from all around the world to this amazing webinar. We're going to have some great people here on the panelists. Of course, our CEO of Utopian Global, Bill Rowell, he's on the call as well with me. And we do have from Houston, Texas, Mr. Ryan Messer, but not on the on image because he's out there in the fields, but on the phone. So which is really, really great. So I hope you got some time, and we're going to walk you through the presentation, going to give you some great updates, and hope that you enjoy and take some notes in this webinar. Hello, Bill. How are you?
Great, Claudia. Great to be here. Welcome to everyone joining us, and great to have Ryan on the call from the assets in Houston.
Fantastic. And meanwhile, I'm just going to show you a very, very short video because we have a lot of new people on the call. They have like zero clue what we are about, but you have been invited, which is great. So I let the video do the work, I guess. That's how they say.
7.7 billion people are living on Earth. Global energy consumption has never been higher. Plastic garbage is filling our oceans, rivers and landfills. Abandoned open-pit mines poison our environment and our children. We have no one to blame but ourselves. We must repair damage and reclaim finite resources. We must find new, sustainable energy sources. How? It starts with investing in resources that can power the world. STORH is a technology-driven energy investment platform taking a pragmatic approach to solving our energy and environmental crises. Our projects include Polystream Plastics-to-Fuel Process, mining remediation and mineral recovery, fracking wastewater reclamation. Our investors benefit from stable income-producing assets, high growth opportunities, deep international industry experience, diversified project mix. Investing in STORH is an investment in a better future for the planet and for you. After all, doing good is easier when it's also financially rewarding. STORH.
So as you saw, you learned a little bit about what we are. If you have not yet a clue, well, we're going to help you a little bit with that further. So basically, as you see here, we have a big problem in the world, and that is, of course, an imbalanced global financial system, meaning the gap between the rich and the poor is ever widening, meaning the middle class disappearing. We have a global declining in currency power, purchasing power, that meaning your money which you earn, be it the British pound, the euro, the naira, the shilling or Argentinian peso, is buying you less and less, but you work harder and harder ever to make month's end. We have rising government debt all over the world. We have a global plastic crisis. In fact, all the media, all the talks around the world is all about environmental. And certainly we have growing population, an ever-growing population, in fact, and therefore we need a higher resource, or we have a higher resource consumption globally. That's what we see. And so what STORH really is doing about is basically tackling this problem in helping, of course, solve it. And so the Utopian Global Ecosystem, which is really the marketing platform as well for STORH and for other products, our unique system, what you can do with it is basically earn through investment in income-producing energy assets via STORH. That's why we have Ryan Messer here on the call today, and safeguard your wealth by saving in precious metals. That is, of course, the foundation of Utopian Global, the company which exists since 2008, founded by Bill Rowell. And we do have the opportunity for you, when you market our products and services, that you actually can boost your income. And Bill Rowell, he is a successful entrepreneur from Australia. I'm going to bring him on the board, but really the reason why he started this company back then, he's going to share with you, and of course how the introduction to Ryan Messer came, the long friendship, and of course the investments he did with Ryan, and why these guys just work really great together and put this wonderful platform for you so that you can benefit. So Bill, I hand it over to you to walk the audience through your expertise and of course why they should get involved in Utopian Global.
Well, thanks, Claudia. I'll keep it brief. I know Ryan's on hold there on site. Primarily, it's about real assets. And I realised, after owning businesses since 1986 in Melbourne, Australia, in fact, hotels I had for 20 years, sold the last one in 2004. I wanted to invest. I wanted to invest in real assets. Wealth is built on the backbone of real labour and real assets. So I flew to actually Zurich, Switzerland, to Grant Thornton Accountant's office, where I met another fellow, actually New Zealander, Philip Judge, a bullion banker. I've been a banker for 30 years. In fact, he's a great colleague and friend of Ryan Messer's as well. He introduced me to the world of gold. Now, up until that time, I had not invested in gold. I invested in real businesses, which generated cash flow. When I sold the business, the last one, I wanted to take that paper wealth, because if you don't have paper wealth working for you, it's going backwards, it's losing value. So I wanted to turn some of the proceeds of the sale of my last hotel into real assets. Now, Philip introduced me to gold, and he primarily gave me this metaphor, which still stands true today, as it did a long, long, long time ago. He said 1 ounce of gold in Roman times, thousands of years ago, could actually clothe a person, could buy a toga and a pair of leather sandals. He said 100 years ago, 1920, 1 ounce of gold was fixed at $20, $20 and 67 cents. And at that time, you could also buy a three-piece suit, shirt and tie, and leather shoes in 1920 for a $20 note, or the equivalent of 1 ounce of gold. And this time was 2003. I was in Zurich. He said, "Okay, Bill, what could you do with this $20 today?" And I joked with him and said, "Phil, we just came having coffee and cake in downtown Zurich, and that costs pretty much $20 US. Now, today in Zurich city centre, you're probably lucky to get 3 cappuccinos, to be quite honest. And if you do, you won't get any change, to be quite honest. Whereas the same ounce of gold exchanged to any currency in the world will still give you the same amount of goods and services as it did thousands of years ago. Gold is not about price. Gold is about a store of value, how many goods and services you can get for that. And this is really a game changer for me. Got me focusing on wealth preservation as well as wealth accumulation with real assets. Now, in 2008, I founded the Swiss company. And we've been making available to our thousands of members around the world the ability to be able to turn paper wealth into real tangible gold and silver, open 24/7. You can save from as little as 25 euros per month, which is less than $2 per day. You can turn paper into real wealth. It's highly liquid, so if you needed to actually liquidate some of your gold or silver, it's very easy. You just log into your back office under the precious metals module. You say, I want to sell X amount of gold, X amount of silver. It goes to the market, whatever price the sell price is from the London bullion market accredited refinery. That's the value that you actually get. And within 24 to 48 hours, that money is credited back to your e-wallet, where you can get it directly paid to your nominated bank account or to your Bitcoin account, or you can convert it into STORH, an income-producing asset headed up by Ryan Messer and the team, which we're going to touch on a little bit later on. Now, Philip Judge, the banker who I met at that particular time in Zurich at the Grant Thornton Accountant's office, he introduced me to the world of gold and silver. But he also introduced me, because he was the CEO of an energy fund at that particular time, he introduced me to the area of natural resources. And the company was headed up by Ryan Messer, the CEO. So I liked what he had. I liked the team. I liked Philip very much and his team. But I said to Philip, before I invest 20 years of my labor into these assets, I want to do 2 things. One is I want to see who I'm investing with, because the people you invest with is really important. And I've had the pleasure of working alongside Ryan since 2004. Highly professional. In fact, when I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana in the USA in 2004 to walk across the particular assets to make sure they were there, I was impressed first and foremost with him and his team, because in the end, it's the management team that's going to be it's going to actually determine the outcome of the actual investment or the portfolio you're getting engaged in. So that was a plus for me. And secondly, I love walking across the assets and seeing how it all worked. And from that point on, I pulled the trigger on the deal. In fact, I invested 1 million Australian dollars at that time, which is approximately 860,000 US. So I've had a long-term association with Ryan Messer and his team, Jay Stewart down there, and of course Randall Eddington that you see here. He's the CEO of the midstream operation. Probably Ryan will touch on that with STORH, and of course Philip Judge. You see the banker there in the middle, and just to the left, you see Mike Miglio, very important component of the team. He's our lawyer in Houston, Texas. Who drafted the private placement memorandum document that gives you the true ownership over the assets. But with that, I might pass it over to Ryan, because I know he's on hold there on site.
Hey, how's everyone?
Great, Ryan. Me? How's it going there in Texas?
Oh, it's nice. Quite unusually warm for November, but I guess it's Houston, so you know, you got to get used to that, used to the warm weather. But no, everything's great. Making a lot of progress here on the Plastics to Fuel initiative that we'll talk about here in a minute. But it's always great to be in Houston. This is the energy capital of the United States, at least, and for the most part, the world. So it's always good to be connected here, of course.
And can you give us any updates? I know you've been busy. I mean, we've settled on Raccoon Bend for the people on this call the very first time. I mean, STORH, you've achieved a lot in this first. Actually, we launched the concept primarily just under 12 months ago, of course, Ryan, and you deployed the white paper in January this year, and of course, then of course you bought 3 assets. The major asset being Raccoon Bend, where you are right now in Texas, which we finally settled on the 1st of August, which is fantastic, and you've been doing some development there. So in this compressed amount of time, even with the given delays, which happens in business, you and your team have achieved a great amount.
Yeah, we've done a lot. And so look, for some of the people that are on the call for the first time, Raccoon Bend is the first major acquisition that we made under STORH, and with the support and help of the market and of course Utopian Global and its members, we were able to acquire a world-class oil and gas asset. So it's just about an hour north of Houston, and some of you on the call had the great privilege of being able to come out here on site and see all the activity and see what we're doing. It's just a beautiful project. I've known about it for almost 7 years, been trying to buy an interest in this field for a long time, and finally the opportunity crossed paths with what we're doing in STORH. And it's a great foundational asset for the company. We've been able to enhance it, as we said from the beginning. We didn't want to buy an asset that we couldn't enhance the value of, and I think we've proven that we can do that. We've drilled several wells, increased production on the field quite substantially, even just over the short period of time. We've worked over 7 or 8 new wells, activated a few, so we're truly enhancing the value of that cash flow on that, this producing asset. And it'll be around for 25 to 30 years from what we know currently. And I think over time, what we'll find is that we're going to uncover a lot of new reserves in the field because it's still underexplored. It's 6,000 acres of production, over 100 producing wells now, or right around 100 producing wells. I need to get an update on that to get the exact figure, but as you could imagine, there are a lot of moving parts to the operation, and some wells go down and some new wells come online. But for us, it's a foundational asset. We didn't want to start this company and be in a position where we're trying to operate out of new capital raise. So we wanted positive cash flow from day one. And that's exactly what we went out there and did. We acquired, like I said, a world-class oil field. It gives us the launching pad to really grow STORH. And if you are sort of asking yourself, well, what is STORH? You've seen the video, you've heard us talk a little bit about it. It's all about acquiring assets which fall under the sustainable technology category. And that's pretty wide, right? Because it includes biotech, it includes clean tech, it includes new operations that enhance the efficiency or viability of traditional assets. It could be oil and gas, it could be energy, it could be even fall into the area of renewables. But for us, one of the major initiatives that we have is around converting plastics back to fuel, right? Because as everyone knows, plastic comes from oil. It was pumped out of the ground and it was sent to a refinery and sent to, manufacturing process to create the plastics that we all use every day. These are things that we consume and throw away and put in our trash bin. And once the trash man comes and picks up the trash, you forget about it. But if you've been watching the news in the last few years, you'll realize how big of a problem this has become, where a lot of this waste, this plastic becomes waste and ends up in our oceans, and just as bad, or maybe not as bad, ends up in landfills. And this plastic has value. And what we want to be able to do is take that value, extract that value, and give those returns back to investors while we're doing good for the environment, right? Because again, if it used to be oil, we can convert it back through a process called pyrolysis, where we basically heat it up, converts back to a hydrocarbon. Sorry, I had a phone call come in. So and at STORH, if you look at the management team of STORH and you read our bios, we're 20 years plus in the oil and gas sector. We currently operate in the midstream space, so we know all about how to get fuels and oils to market and at the highest value, which includes blending, which includes a lot of things that I won't get into on this call, but it uniquely positions STORH because of its management to take advantage of this opportunity. Because again, when you convert the plastics back to an oil, you have to get that oil to market. We know how to enhance the value, which of course then enhances the returns for investors, shareholders, you. So that's this is an initiative we call Polystream, which will be, of course, we've already kind of done a soft launch on it, but we're moving forward very, very fast on getting to market. We're meeting with technology partners. I met with 2 new potential board members today, which will add tremendous value to what we're doing. And then, of course, we are positioning ourselves on the social part of the business too, which is how do we become part of the solution, not just from a technology perspective, but how do we get behind and partner with some of the initiatives that are out there on the cleanup side of the business? Because again, that's where a lot of the focus is. And the good news is that the bigger companies that create and are part of the plastics problem by having made it so cheap and accessible for everyone are also getting behind and becoming a part of the solution. So we're looking to partner with them on how we can aggregate the plastic, because again, that's the biggest part, is the logistics and how to get, the supply side of the process. How do we aggregate the plastics, process it, clean it, put it in a format that can be then sent to our plants for processing. So I know it's sort of a long-winded answer, but that's where we are, making a tremendous amount of progress, and we need your support.
Yeah, this is an awesome project, Ryan. It's going to add significant value to the company STORH, and of course to all STORH token holders, which is equity holders, which is fantastic. And of course, this initiative, of course, our plan is to possibly list on an exchange at the end of 2020, 2021. And the Polystream concept, plastics to fuel, plastics to cash, you can look at it that way, cleaning up the environment and building revenues at the same time, is going to have a significant influence on the valuation of STORH.
It will. And so this is the part I kind of want to talk about. I don't talk about enough, maybe, and that is, what is our business model? You as an investor and a shareholder, of course you are, Bill, I am as well, Claudia is, and a lot of members on this call are all shareholders of STORH. So what is our plan? Our plan, as we've set out from the beginning, is somewhere between a 2 and 3 year plan, where we want to ultimately create a liquidity event to obviously give people the ability to to sell their shares in the company to obviously to see the return benefits. So how do we do that, right? So we have to add value to the company. And so we're raising capital now so that we can create and build our first initial plant, and then create a business model and a business plan that shows scalability to a much greater market, to the institutional market. So we need to provide that proof of concept location. And so we're going to do that under this private company, STORH. And of course, increase the value there. And at some point, when the markets align for us, or we're going to look at the most liquid market, whether it's because we are a digital share, we can potentially list on a crypto exchange or multiple crypto exchanges. But I think what's becoming more apparent is a more traditional public market like the OTCQX, of which I have experience having run a public company for 10 years. And so we want to take this private company, we want to increase the value by raising capital and executing on these projects to get us to a point in the next year to a year and a half where we can start looking at an exchange to list on, and then do, of course, a much larger capital raise at that point in time to give people the option to either liquidate or liquidate a portion of their ownership or stay in. And I also should mention too that through the recent communique, of course, we just had our annual board meeting and are very conscious of the cash flow interest that people have in the assets that we're building. So Raccoon Bend obviously kicks off a good amount of cash flow every month. And so we want to give people the ability to receive dividends or distributions from that asset as well, which we talked about in that communication.
Yes, I encourage everyone, if they have not read your annual general meeting, or actually it's your first annual general meeting of STORH, I encourage everyone to find the email and download the report and review that, because it really gives you an update of what we've achieved thus far, what you've achieved thus far in your team, Ryan, and of course, we're heading the next 12 months, which is really exciting.
Well, we've done this as a team, right? It's a team effort, and it's not just about what we've achieved. We've done this all together. And so this has been a great and strong partnership, and with the support of course, your members that have been with you for a long time. I'm very impressed with that, which says a lot about your character. And of course, I've known you for a long time too, so I was already aware of that. But we know we've had a lot of experience together. So this was a great partnership for us, and give people real access to real assets around the world that generate cash flow 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's why we're in this business, because STORH is not just around creating sustainable or supporting sustainable technology. It's built around the idea of having something that is sustainable from an investment perspective. So something that will continue to produce, which is low risk. And that's what we built into our business model.
No, it's a strong foundation, and you're absolutely correct. This is a team effort, and every person on this call who is a STORH owner, I congratulate you. 1, for the trust. Number 2, for doing your research. I can assure you that you're involved with an awesome team. I've been involved with them since 2004, and owning real assets, especially in a world, Ryan, where we have a zero interest rate policy in many parts of the world. Certainly very much in the European Union, and very much in your part of the world too, Ryan. North America, interest rates are very, very low. So people are looking for real asset ownership, real tangible asset ownership that's going to give them strong yields in many years to come. Yes,
absolutely, and it's it's a risk. It's something we look at all the time, because I'm not only am I looking at how do we monetize the investments for the investors by creating some sort of liquidity event, but how do we manage the risk as well? Because a lot of the assets that we are supporting and investing in are based on commodities, right? And commodity prices go up and down. But as a part of our risk mitigation policy, as you know, with Raccoon Bend, we've instituted a hedging program. So we partner with British Petroleum, or BP, in their trading department. So we trade and hedge against the price of crude. So we're protected on the downside. So if the price of crude does go down, they pay us, they cut us a check. And so far over the last 3 months since we bought the asset, they've cut us a check twice. We've cut them a check once. So it looks like we're up on our hedging, which is good. But long term, of course, we still have the ability to receive upside too. So if the price of oil does go up, we do make sure that in our hedging strategies, we allow ourselves the ability to reap those benefits as well. So it's a protection mechanism for the most part. You can call it an insurance policy, but it's smart business when you're dealing with commodities and you're dealing with people and their investments, because we have to become great stewards of that, because of course it's not only our money, but it's your money as well. So
Well, I can assure you, I sleep better knowing that you do that. And as I did back in 2004 onwards as well, Ryan, that you actually had these strategies in place. This is really important, actually. And when you say that BP, you had to cut BP a check, let me just clarify that for the people and correct me if I'm wrong. Because we're paying BP. What primarily, Ryan, well, maybe you just describe it, Ryan, because I know it has a $4 collar on the upside. So that means if it's over, you have a 56 hedge, if it drops below 56, BP is going to pay you a check for 56
Yeah.
barrel. If it goes 61, if it goes below that, if it goes above that to 59, you're going to have to pay them the first $4, correct? If it goes to 61, they'll pay you 57.
So what's happened is for 2 months the price of oil dropped below $56. For 1 month it was above 56. So that 1 month that it fell between the $56 and $60 range, it wasn't much. I think we had to cut them a $1,500 check, but the other 2 months it's actually been below that. So they actually cut us a check, and that's just part of continually looking at our strategies and hedging barrels further and further out. So we haven't pledged 100% of all the production. We only pledge up to 80%. That's just part of our strategy because we want 20% to float with the commodities market. It's just part of the strategy. And we pledge and sort of trail it all the way out to next June or July, I think is what we're out now. I think it's through the end of July, if I'm not mistaken. So, but just maybe 20 to 30% of the barrels. So that continually changes and we trade. But if we're right, and at the end of the year, we look at our hedging strategy and it's a wash between what BP has paid us and what we've paid them, then, hey, you can treat it just like an insurance policy. But obviously our intent is to try to make positive trades with our commodity hedging and be up at the end. But again, it's more for hedging our downside than, a revenue generating or profit center for us.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the bottom line for me as a store owner in the asset, I know that the downside we're going to get 56 barrel. That's really what the protection's about. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this chart here, of course, Ryan, it shows the potential value of where we've come from since we deployed in November last year from 10 cents. And the reason why we deployed at 10 cents, people ask, why you discount? Well, the reason we discounted back then is, of course, the idea had been planned for many, many, many months, but we had nothing deployed. We own no assets, of course. We had no website, and of course, as we build the structure, as we build the infrastructure, we reduce risk. As we accumulate assets, as we did in March, as we did in the MOU, signing the deal for Raccoon Bend, and then we settled on it in August this year, and plus the further development you spoke about. These are the actions that have increased the value of STORH token, and we're aiming to get it to €4, as you can see from the slide before, based on asset acquisition. So as more money comes in, we keep buying and developing the Polystream, turn it to revenues, and of course this is going to add significant value before we list. And people can see here also the average price. This is why it's so important to be engaged with STORH. See that when you're buying STORH, you're buying real assets, and it's just a great vehicle to be involved in. Primarily, I'm just repeating what I did back in 2004. So it's good to be back here doing it with you again, Ryan.
Absolutely. I couldn't have explained the pricing situation any better, because as you know, pricing a startup is nearly impossible. And so you float it at a particular price to raise capital, in the sense that you know that you're going to acquire assets and have to ultimately be tied to the enterprise value or net asset value of the company, however you choose your valuation point. But that's where we're at now. So we've got assets under management, of course, and we've got a tremendous amount of upside. And so that we're priced accordingly now, because some risk has been taken out of the investment STORH, because again, we've got a cash flow producing asset that'll be around for 25 to 30 years on the absolute downside. And the upside is we've got our plastics to fuel initiative, which is an extremely high growth area, not to mention a handful of other projects that we're underway on, again, probably a little bit further out, but certainly there's a a great reason to get involved in STORH now, because we're still just 1 year old. So we're very, very young, and are getting more and more interest every day from larger companies and institutions about supporting our platform, because they see that, of course, if you look at a lot of the companies that are supported by a digital share, or sort of in the ICO or equity token offering space, over 95% of them have no assets under management. So that puts us in the top 5 percentile of all of those companies, which are legitimate and have cash flow. So when you're out looking, keep that in mind. And again, look at the management team. Look at the team of the people that are behind a lot of these projects, and look at their CVs, look at their history, and ask yourself, are these people best suited to manage your money for you? And are they in the business? Have they been successful in what they're doing and what they're out there promoting? And then you'll make a decision.
Absolutely. And Ryan, I was yesterday here in Germany, in Frankfurt. Frankfurt is for Germany, the capital, of course, of finance, but also very advanced in blockchain technology. All the big conferences are hosted there. So it was yesterday on a big conference, and certainly when it comes to blockchain and all these things moving ahead, the biggest takeaway was the biggest let's say a deal maker will be in the future tokenization of assets. And the funny thing is, the speaker actually was explaining the tokenization of assets, and he was making it as an example of a windmill. But of course, he didn't know that, of course, you are already in a project like this, so he didn't know about our project yet. But it was just great. He, from all the kind of industries which exist within the blockchain space, that is probably the one which is going to be there, really shaking the whole environment. So it was really great.
Yep, I think it's brilliant what we've done, and it's brilliant what we've created, and it's an executable project. In other words, this is not some theoretical technology that we hope to be able to get to market, and of course then provide a proof of concept. Converting plastics to fuel is being done all around the world. I'm evaluating all the sites that have been in operation for some of them over 10 years. In fact, next week I go visit one in the United States. I'm going to be on site in one, and then I'll be going to Oregon to meet with a manufacturer of one. This technology is not new, but we're applying what we already know about our space in the oils and fuel business to enhance it, right? That's all and I said this from the beginning. We don't get involved in assets that we don't think we can enhance the value of. Otherwise, there's no value for you as a shareholder, right? You go invest in one of these companies that have been around for 10 years, if there's an opportunity to do so. So we can take that existing technology, we can enhance it, and we can, of course, give shareholders the opportunity to reap the benefits of that. And so, yeah, and I look forward to joining more and more of these conferences as time goes on, because you're right, we're still new. A lot of these guys haven't heard of STORH, and of course, we got to make it more available for sure.
Fantastic. So, well, thank you so much, Ryan, to be on the call today. It's really important for the people to hear your voice as well. I mean, they would like to see your face, as I always say, but we understand that sometimes out on the field it's not possible. But I'm going to move in now ahead and really show people the amazing offer we have right now. Of course, we are almost 1 year old. So 15th of November, we did a pre-launch without website, without white paper, we literally without nothing. We didn't have an asset, but we had the idea and the team. And because of that, you did a really, really great announcement. We're having bonus tokens. So I'm going to share this with the people now, and obviously explaining the different ways how to get on board. Obviously, you just can become a customer or a shareholder, and that you can buy gold or silver. You can buy your STORH assets from as little as €25 gold or silver, or from as little as €50. You can actually purchase STORH. And the other way to get involved is actually you would like to market market our products and services. So you like the idea, you like what we have done with STORH here, and you, through sharing, of course, would also like to make some extra money because you do the hard work, and that is reaching out to people and sharing our basically project. And so we have those two ways to get in. So we have the different packages designed for affiliate members, affiliate member packages, the smaller end, and of course the higher end for the investors, the quantum packages. So as these packages start from as little as 99 euro, 170 up to 3,500, but we have right now a absolutely unique offer for the next 10 days, I believe it's set there on the chart, because 4 have already gone, and that is a bonus token. So you see, normally, let's say with a 390 euro package, a very, very small entry, you would have gotten 325 STORH. But right now, if you purchase that package, you're going to get on top another 487. That makes it up to 812 STORH you're going to get now when you buy the 390 euro package, which is really great. And then, of course, you see here the 790 with 1,500, the 3,500. So very, very great deal. And let's look at the quantum packages here. So the quantum packages, right now, let's say you came in with a 9,000 euro package, you would actually receive 15,625, but because of this unique offer right now, you're going to get another 3,125 bonus tokens. So you're actually getting 18,750 tokens, which is absolutely great. Because let me go back to my other chart before, if you haven't seen that yet, or you really didn't understood when we had the slide there. So let me just go back here. In your back office, let's say you have purchased these tokens. So you see in your back office, you see the evaluation from where we started, and you see the STORH quantity like I show here in this picture, and of course the value currently, but also then the estimated value if we're going to launch, or of course when you sell it, and if you're going to sell it at 4 euro at an exchange price listing. So that's a huge, massive gain here. You see here the quantity in this case scenario of 163,000 and more STORH, which a current value of 78,391 euros, but an estimated value of 653, almost a million or close to, if of course they're going to sell it on an exchange at a price of 4 euro. Disclaimer here, of course, as you mentioned very well and many times, we cannot guarantee anything. That's all based on the asset and of course market demand, and of course you have sellers, you have buyers, but of course that's why we need to put a lot of focus on building up this great project and put more assets under the belt so that the evaluation goes there. But it's really great. Maybe you want to add something there, Ryan.
I think Ryan may have gone now, Clay, but I'll just touch on it. But primarily throughout today's call, Ryan's mentioned many times about being able to enhance a particular asset. And that's very, very important. Buying Raccoon Bend, if it was already fully developed and unable to enhance it, means we're paying maximum price for the asset, which means we can't get that leverage on the asset value at a listing. It's really important to be able to do that. So you've got to be able to add value to that. And that's the same as when it comes to his midstream operation. They've been engaged in this industry for a long time. They do about 10,000 barrels per day, but being able to take the Polystream Plastics to Fuel, engage it into what they're already doing on the midstream operation, they can add significant value. It's truly unique where other companies cannot, because they may have the pyrolysis, but they don't have the midstream, so they can maximize margins. And that's where we get the X factor on the pricing. This is going to take time. As Ryan said, it was a 2 to 3 year plan. And we're well into it now, and we're just starting to get into the really heavy stuff now, which is really exciting, which is going to add true value to these particular assets, and of course, in the end, the STORH valuation.
Absolutely. And of course, when you go to these conferences and you see, of course, the latest trends and what has been, or what they speak about in these trends, those experts, it's all about asset tokenization. It's about lending as well, but most likely about asset tokenization. So we are really here on the total forefront of all these upcoming projects, which are going to really shape the landscape in the next few years. We are very much in the front right now. But let's go quickly just over those commissions for these people who are interested. Well, you know, I don't want to just make money from future money, of course, from the distributions or from when I can sell it, cash in, but I also would like to actually share this great message and help in the fundraising of the project. Well, we have what we call the fast start referral commission. So every time you sell a package, you're going to get a fast start commission. You then, after 2 weeks of a period, you can actually then withdraw them either in Bitcoin. These commissions, you can convert them into gold or silver. You can convert them into more store. You can also withdraw them to your bank account. So all these possibilities do exist. I, for myself, I constantly buy more store. I buy more gold or silver. I get a little bit sometimes paid out as well, but I rather, you know, convert it because I see the up potential in the future, because also given obviously we do have not any interest rates here anymore in especially Germany. It's pretty bad here. So, but you see the referral commissions for the higher packages here, 9K up to 1 million. And we like to work with the power of free. So we like to teach people, well, just if you were to introduce just 3 people to this concept, actually your initial investment, what you actually put in, let's say the example of the 1,500 euro pack, it's actually you're getting it back. Why? Well, because if you refer it for 3 people, you make the same commission or even more, so that maybe your initial investment is actually being paid back. You can do it with the 99 euro, with the 170, with the 390, with the 790 package, or the 1,500 package. You introduce 3, and your initial investment is actually back, and that means, of course, you're really definitely on the go, and of course you're then later on gonna enjoy the distributions and gonna enjoy the price of store, in the rising price of store. So the different ways to get paid, obviously you get a 40% fast start referral commission, or up to, from the sale of the store membership packages. You earn direct bonus every time you sell precious metals or you sell store. You're gonna qualify for incentives, including luxury travel, and you can earn uni-level commissions from building a team of people up to 7 levels, from your customers and from your affiliates. And you can earn, once you move up your career in the Utopian Global ecosystem, another 2% unlimited gold leadership bonus, again, on your team. And how it looks like, let's say you came in with a 1,500 package, for example, and we just do the power of free on the 50 euro monthly asset accumulation plan in order to stay active. So in order to be eligible to receive commissions, you have to be on a 50 euro monthly asset accumulation plan. So let's say you came in today with 1,500, you would be active as an affiliate for the next 30 days. And after that, you would have to at least purchase 50 euro monthly asset accumulation plan. What do you get? Well, you're going to get asset store. If you're in the United States, you're going to get silver, which of course is also an asset. And you see here the scenario on the different levels. You would actually getting paid if you would just join 3 people and you would just teach those 3 people do exactly the same, show it to 3 people. You would be then 9 people in your organization. Those 9 again just show it with 3 people, and you're 27 in your organization, and so on. You see, you're gonna build a pretty decent network, but of course you just really work with the power of free. Now we know sometimes those 3 don't do nothing. Sometimes 3 people don't introduce nobody. Sometimes they introduce a few. Sometimes they introduce a lot. So this is just a statistic. Of course, if everybody would introduce 3, you would introduce 3. But pretty amazing money which you could make. Of course, if you do, let's say you introduce 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people, of course, that is gonna go exponential big. But that's an amazing example here, the power of free, the monthly asset accumulation plan. And well, basically with that, we came to the end, I believe, Bill, of the presentation. I'm not going to show the video today because we don't want to make it, of course, too long for you. We have really great videos for you to share with your people as well. Many more tools coming as we develop, as we grow, more tools available for you. I hope you also did download the latest white paper. There were some updates on it, on that white paper. So I hope you're going to do that. If you haven't yet read the white paper, well, I suggest you to read it. If you would like to know more into the detailed compensation plan, again, or either download the compensation plan from your back office, or ask your sponsor to direct you where the compensation plan is, or send us an email to support@utopianglobal.com. Of course, I do also invite you to contact the person who actually invited you to this presentation. Really important. Reach out to them, get your questions answered, whatever questions you do have. And with that, I'm just gonna look if I do see some questions here we may have, which otherwise I believe most likely everything has been addressed. Not sure, Bill, if you see any questions here from the people. If you're still writing some questions, you can do that, of course, in the chat box, which you do have. And certainly we're going to be here for another few minutes in order to answer those questions for you. And otherwise, if you don't have any more, well, I hope that you're going to make some action, that you take the next step. I mean, I think you heard it pretty clear. It must be very clear to you now what we are about, what we're trying to do here, and not just trying, we already have achieved. And we look forward to have you on board of Utopian Global and STORH, as Orion said, to really do good for the environment, but also for yourself. And so I don't see any more questions. Bill, if you don't see any more, I would like to say thank you, everybody, and have a great evening or morning wherever you are. And we have another webinar on Saturday, I believe.
Yes, correct, Claudia. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone joining us, and we'll see you on Saturday's call.
Great, thank you. And goodbye, everybody.